It's gone up so quickly.
How could you describe telemetry?
Yeah, we're using AI quite extensively now. Nobody can escape it.
Thank you again, Oliver, for coming in our office in Dijon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very glad to share with you. I would like to explore with you telemetry, obviously,
Of course.
as you have an extensive experience with TechLake, but also the evolution of the IoT, your vision, maybe also the integration of AI.
Yes.
I don't know if we work on it. We have also another subject about the impact of geopolitics context.
Of course, indeed.
But before we dive into all that, could you start by introducing yourself, telling us a bit about you, about your company, where you're from,
Sure.
your role?
Started off as kind of consumer-based level measurement, like in your heating oil tank, for example, at home. And in the subsequent years, then pushing more into the industrial space. So chemicals, water, wastewater, and those kind of industries. So built up a sizable portfolio of products of about 6.5 million devices in the field. And then in 2023, we were acquired by Rochester Sensors, a Dallas-based, a US-based company traditionally in mechanical gauging. And I guess we complemented their business because we were electronics and they were mechanical, and their future is all in the electronic side of it. So as we spoke there, moving from a wired solution to a BLE solution probe where you've no moving parts, basically. That's kind of the future, and that's where we come in, really.
So, and you what's your role?
My role is a general manager for the Shannon entity, but I have a role now with a slightly bigger role with Rochester. So I'm responsible for the UK as well, for the facility in the UK as well, and I have some overseas in the US as well, some responsibility there.
Okay, well, fine. So maybe for your audience, how could you describe telemetry?
I guess it's you're taking remote data from somebody's asset, let's say in this case a tank of fuel or gas or indeed chemicals, depends on what that asset might be. And you're sending that data basically to the cloud remotely. And for the customer, the real advantage is what we call business optimization. So let's say you're a fuel distributor with 10 trucks on the road, for example, and you're servicing 5,000 tanks. If you put a device on as many of those tanks as possible, you can remove one of those trucks, right? Because you have visibility to your field population, and it's what we would call a business optimization tool. So you can really drive savings in your business by knowing what's in the field. And the other advantage, I guess, is not alone will you take away some of your infrastructure, but you also will know your inventory levels. We work with some of the larger LPG companies, the bigger players, and they would have well over one particular customer has well over 100,000 tanks with a device on each one of those tanks, and they can tell you at any minute of any given day how much inventory they have in the field.
We speak about logistic.
And
is there any other
I mean, in terms of the application, I think the future we would see is chemicals, right? So there is a level of saturation in the telemetry space certainly in LPG, because that was an early adopter. More recently, there's more saturation in liquid fuels, like heating oil and so on, where there's maybe more opportunities now from what we see is in chemicals. The value of an IBC full of chemicals could be incredibly high. It could be several €100,000. The importance of monitoring that particular asset, it's a much stronger business case than it would be for LPG or fuel oil, for example. So from an application perspective, I think chemicals is one, but also the environmental side. So water, wastewater, septic tanks.
You see a lot of applications developing.
Absolutely, that's where it's going. I mean, because septic tank monitoring, for example, there's European legislation now coming down the line that will force people to monitor their septic tanks from an environmental point of view.
Maybe despite its potential, do you see any obstacles that IoT might face in the future?
One of the primary challenges is, what technology do you use? So we've had lots of different technologies over the years. We've had, LoRa and Sigfox, for example. They've had limited success. Cellular has kind of clearly won out that particular race, but cellular has challenges, right? Because you get sunset on legacy technologies, 2G and 3G. And, for example, in the UK at the moment, we're having some challenges where, narrowband IoT and Cat-M is not fully built out. And yet 3G is basically gone and 2G is going. So you've got patchy environments where you can't get any connection.
Okay.
And in those cases, we would look at maybe LoRa with a private gateway. We're developing a satellite product. Satellite is going to play a big part in the future. I think satellite will ultimately replace cellular for our business.
Okay. You work on it?
The first satellite product we're testing it at the moment, but it has the ability to operate on terrestrial and non-terrestrial. So it will try and connect on a narrowband IoT or a Cat-M network, and if it fails, it will connect to a satellite.
How many factories do you have?
We have the site in Ireland, in Shannon, also a factory in the UK and in Brussels, obviously, and a couple of different businesses in the US and a number of manufacturing facilities in Mexico.
Yeah.
And also a facility in China.
So, and do you have any concerns regarding, I don't know, if any conflicts appears in Taiwan and in China?
That's a real concern. I mean, I guess we have geopolitical conflicts are becoming, unfortunately, more common now, right? And I mean, you look at the Middle Eastern situation at the moment, that's obviously driving fuel prices up at a pretty significant rate. Ironically, for our business, because we're kind of tied to tank storage, sometimes when oil prices go up or go down, it has a positive effect. Because when they go up, people panic and start buying more now and storing it. So that's good for us, right? And when it goes down, people think, wow, it's so cheap now. I'm going to buy more. I'm going to store more. So it's that side of it can have a benefit. I guess the difference this time, though, with the Middle Eastern situation is it's gone up so quickly. I mean, it's just gone up overnight, and that's a new situation that we've never really experienced before. So it's very difficult to tell how that's going to go.
And in terms of production, do you anticipate any relocation in Europe or in the US
for manufacturing and so on? At the moment, no. But I mean, we still have a sizable, like the larger organization, Amphenol have a sizable footprint in China, 50,000 people in China, and there isn't really any concern about that, because I guess while there are geopolitical concerns right now, they may not always be there. I mean, it's based on maybe the current administration and so on. So they might settle down in time. It's very difficult not to do business with China because they're part of our everyday lives. You look around this room, and I guarantee you, practically everything every electronic component in this room has Chinese components in it, like lots of Chinese. You might like to avoid doing business with China, but you can't.
Do you have any advice for companies that would like to invest in IoT solutions?
Probably one of the best bits of advice would be to, fully understand your business case. Do you have a return on investment? Have you understood what the return on investment will be? You don't want to go into it without considering that. I mean, AI is helping all these business models now, right? I mean, we're using it for everything at the moment. And even for that kind of business modeling, AI is incredibly powerful.
And do you use AI?
We're using AI
on a daily basis?
We're using AI quite extensively now. Everything from our coding, our software development. I was telling Jan and Matthias earlier, we're actually doing modular coding now. So we're using blocks of firmware in different devices, the same block of firmware in different devices. We're using AI to do the validation, to ensure that it's, that there's no mistakes, for example. Everything from your marketing material to your market research, we're using it as much as possible. And we're still at the very early stages, I would say, of using AI. I think we're only learning, right? And I mean, it's going to get more and more powerful.
How your employees accept to change their behaviors?
We get the early adopters. I'm a big fan of it, kind of pushing it through the organization. We're kind of saying to our guys, look, take a look at your job, your environment, and look at the things, maybe the tasks that are mundane and repeated and that are taking a lot of your time, and ask, where can AI help?
What kind of model do you use?
At the moment, we're using Copilot, because we have enterprise licenses. One of the challenges, I think, or one of the concerns for people with AI is how secure is your data you're feeding into AI. But with, for example, Copilot, because it's a Microsoft product, and we have Microsoft anyway, so it's almost an extension of that, right? So we feel a little bit more confident, I guess, on the security side. That's one thing, I guess, you've got to be comfortable with, that your data is secure.
We are coming to the end of this interview, and if you have one book to advise.
There are a couple of really good books on AI. There's an author called Jeff Wood. I just read one of his books. It's called The AI Leader, because look, AI is going to be our world now, right? Nobody can escape it. It's coming down the line. I think he describes it as your thought partner. You know, that's really what it is, right? So that's a really good, it's a very, very good read. For anybody that's kind of running a business or in a leadership position, that's a really good read.
We'll propose this book to our employees.
Sounds good. Sounds good indeed. Yeah.
So do you have a favorite quote?
We always have to celebrate the wins, right? We always deal with the challenges, and we're always respectful to one another. I say that every morning to our guys, right? And that's, I think if you can do that, your day is off to a good start.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So thank you, Oliver, for sharing your experience, and I have a present for you. Specialty of Burgundy.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
Much appreciated. Wow.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Excellent.
Thank you, Oliver.
Thank you, sir. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.